Bienvenidos, welcome back amigos, amigas, great to see you there. If there's anybody standing outside, you're very welcome to come in. You want to be grabbing a seat for this next keynote presentation. We are absolutely reaching the section of today at the Banco Sabadell stage that is the grand finale with three incredible presentations. My name's Oisin Lunny, I'm a podcast host for Fortune 500 companies, an event MC, and a marketing consultant and a radio DJ. And if you would like to connect on LinkedIn, I would be delighted. I will even send you a special mixtape because that's how I roll. Let's build this 4 years from now ecosystem together. All connect, all stay connected. That's what it's all about. Why are you in the most exciting place on the planet right now? Because there are over 550 startups out there and they are mingling with 13.8 billion in funds represented by investors here. So this is where the magic happens. This is where the investment meets the startups and makes the unicorns and soonicorns of the future. And speaking of which, we are going to take a deep dive into the future right now and learn about a brave new World Wide Web. This is really where you're going to learn about a decentralized web where the Metaverse, Web3, NFTs, cryptocurrencies, and different technologies merge and open up a new world of opportunities for startups, corporations, and investors. This is essential viewing, and congratulations for being here. Congratulations for watching us if you're streaming us online. Now, I asked our next keynote speaker, how would he like to be introduced? He has the most incredible CV, and he said, oh, you can just tell them I'm the crazy hacker who wears a beanie, who's the Chief Digital Officer of Telefonica. So I would love for you to give a very warm, 4 years from now, welcome for Shema Alonso. Thank you.
Well, hello hackers, how are you? Actually, he's brilliant. He's brilliant. We were discussing before the talk, and he has a long bio about myself, and I said, say anything. So that's okay. Well, thank you for being here. Welcome to Barcelona again. For the people that you weren't here last year, we were here in 2021 just to keep this wonderful event alive. But this year is wonderful to see all of you coming again to Barcelona and 4 years from now. So thank you very much for being here. We really appreciated that. And I have only 20 minutes, and I'm not going to explain everything that you can read on the bio, but I would like to do a thinking about that, and that's because I'm here. And as he said in my presentation, I'm the Chief Digital Officer of Telefonica. We are a company with a long history. We are a pre-web company. We are almost 100 years old. In 2024, Telefonica will be 100 years old company. And it's difficult to explain how things are changing so quickly to the rest of the people when you are in a very successful company like Telefonica. We are a multinational company with presence in a lot of countries, a very successful company that started from here, from creating a network for the voice. We are a company that was born before the internet was created. But thinking about that and having internal discussion, we used to say, okay, we were created by hackers, that changing the way of communication was done before with technology. So this is our history, a very successful one history. But things are changing quickly, and if we go and look for the internet, we have a big breakthrough when this happened. This is a network map from the 1972. It's the Arpanet Network, and it's quite amazing because at that time only hackers were connected to that, hackers from the universities, some student colleges, etc. And it's very nice how to discover the future. They were creating that network, and not so many people were thinking that it was useful, only for geeks, for nerds, for crazy people. But there is some wonderful story that proves that at that time it was possible to know that it will be a big success. And that story is in that book. I really love it. And it's a story about two students, one from the Stanford University and the other one from the MIT, and they were asking one to another, hey man, where do I buy marijuana? So if you create something that is so useful for people like that, it's going to be a complete success. You like it or not, this is the reality. And they changed the world creating that network. But when you are creating wonderful things, probably people don't understand at the beginning. And this talk is about that, about how difficult it is for entrepreneurs, for crazy people that are creating the future to explain things about what is happening. This is a very well-known article it was published in 1995, and it's an article explaining why the web won't be nirvana. And it's amazing. If you go to the website, you can look for this article on the internet, and if you look for the for the text of the article and the reasons why they think that the web is not going to be a success, one of those is that today the mall that is in front of my house is selling more stuff than the internet. That first reason. And at the end of the article, he said, okay, some people, in this case, Necroponte, which is a very famous engineer and very famous person on the internet, was saying that in the future, more books were going to be sold through the internet. And he was making a joke. Sure? Are you sure that is going to happen? And it was in 1995. How many of you were born before 1995? So you were here when this happened. So I'm going to put you a little video. It's only a 2-minute video. It's quite famous. It's Bill Gates trying to explain internet. And probably most of you have seen this video, but it deserves to be watched.
But you know, I think about this, and what about this internet thing? Do you know anything about that?
Sure.
What the hell is that exactly?
Well, it's become a place where people are publishing information.
Right.
So everybody can have their own homepage. Companies are there. The latest information. It's wild what's going on. You can send electronic mail to people. It is the big new thing.
Yeah, but you know, it's easy to criticize something you don't fully understand, which is my position here.
Go ahead.
But I can remember a couple of months ago, there was like a big breakthrough announcement that on the internet or on some computer deal, they were going to broadcast a baseball game. You could listen to a baseball game on your computer. And I just thought to myself, does radio ring a bell? You know what I mean?
There's a difference.
There is a difference.
It's not a huge difference.
What is the difference?
But you can listen to the baseball game whenever you want.
All right.
Too.
Oh, I see. So it's stored in one of your memory deals,
Exactly.
and then you can come
That's
back
the
a year
RAM
later.
thing you talked about earlier.
Yeah. Do tape recorders ring a bell?
Well, imagine at that time trying to explain internet. It's not that far in the time, but it was very complex to explain easy things. Today, to us, it's like crazy, because all of us understand very well the power of the internet, but at that time it was impossible. And not only with this new web idea. So the good thing of successful companies is that they look for the change. They pay attention to every single change that is happening around them. So in the case of Telefonica and in the case of the telco industry, it was a very, very relevant moment, because at that time, the ISP, the internet service provider, weren't the telcos. A lot of new companies were created at that time to become the new internet service provider. And telcos, and in our case, in the case of Telefonica, we needed to transform ourselves and become an internet service provider. And we did it. We did it with this nice project that I really love it. This was launched in Spain. And at that time, I was studying in the university, and this project was wonderful. It was called Infovia, and it was wonderful because it was fixed tariff to connect to the internet through the wireline. And that project was a big breakthrough in Spain, because during several months, Spain was the most connected country to the internet thanks to this project, because everybody could connect to the internet at that moment, when not many people at that time were sure about the success of the internet. Things changed quickly. We used to talk about Web 1, Web 2, Web 3, but it's not true. We had a lot of evolutions of the internet services. And one of those that probably all of you remember very well is Google. When Google appeared, everything changed. How many of you remember the first moment that someone told you, hey, use this web searcher, which is wonderful? Remember that day? I remember perfectly that day, because I was using different web searchers, but the day that you try it for first time in your life, Google, you got to stick to it. And it's wonderful, because at that moment, nobody understood what was the business model of that company. This is a very nice article explaining that for Google, the toughest search is for a business model. Nobody understood at that time very well how was this data business that changed the whole internet at that moment. And you can read the article, it's wonderful. But something really changed, because internet becomes something critical for companies and critical for users. And the new website, the new web application were consuming a lot of bandwidth. And telco industry saw an opportunity at that moment. And we needed to change that. And in Telefonica, we decided to deploy a broadband network. And it's quite amazing, because we are the country on earth, except Korea, with more fiber. Right now in Spain, we have 80% of the territory covered by 5G, and we have 40 million of houses with fiber to the home. And we are that, and we are having that powerful fiber network, because at that time, in the beginning of the 21st century, decided to deploy that broadband fiber. And it was a very difficult moment. We needed to take decisions that wasn't understood for everybody. And if you look for the rest of the European country, probably in your countries, you don't have that fiber to the home. How many of you don't have fiber to the home in your country? Raise your hand, please. In your house. 1, 2, not so many. In Spain, it's quite strange. If you don't have fiber to your home, probably you live on the peak of the mountain, because if not, probably you have fiber. That movement wasn't alone only to create new way of application. We started into the web of platforms. And when we were talking about platforms, social networks with the user connected in the Web 2 appear. And at that moment, the key capability, the key feature for every single people started to become the mobility. And we needed to create new networks, not the previous network. We needed to deploy new network, 2G, 3G, 4G, etc. And one interesting thing is that when the social platform appeared, nobody thought that it made sense. Probably you remember what was your first impression about social network. My first impression with Twitter, and I really love Twitter today, was, what the hell is that? Why I'm going to explain everybody what I'm doing today, what I'm doing now. And at the beginning, I rejected the social network. How many of you were upset of the social network at the beginning? Not after, at the beginning, saying, okay, what is that? But the truth is that happened. And it's amazing, this is an article, you can search for it on the internet, explaining why Facebook will never make a significant profit. It's not an article about I like it or I don't like it, Facebook. It's why it's not going to make significant profit. And it defines Facebook as a huge machine just to deliver low value ads. That was the definition at that moment of Facebook. But in the end, as you probably know, Facebook were able to generate a lot of profits at that time. But not all the people understand what is happening when it's happening. So after that, mobility, we needed to deploy new networks, and this is a very nice article that you can search for it on the internet, 2007, first iPhone version. It's not Ulrich which is saying that. Ulrich is explaining what someone has been publishing in a consultancy report that is saying why iPhone will fail. And it's amazing. There are 3 reasons because they believe that iPhone will fail at that moment. And the 3 of them are, first one, it's not easy to use. First one is not easy to use. Second one, it has too many features. Too many features. And the third one, which is the one I really love it, you don't have a feedback when you push a button on the keyboard because it's not physical, so you need to watch. So that's something that people won't use ever. That are the 3 reasons why iPhone will fail at that time. How many of you have an iPhone? Please raise your hand. Well, now we are facing a new wave. The Web3 with the Metaverse buzzword. Probably the Metaverse buzzword is the most well-known term right now. Everybody is talking about the Metaverse. Everybody is talking about Snow Crash, Ready Player One. I prefer to use the Ralph Break the Internet. You know the movie? I prefer to think about the Metaverse that way. And the truth is that when Meta was talking about Metaverse and this virtual reality world in which you are going to get inside and your life is going to be fully virtual, etc., everybody start to freak out. But the truth is that we are seeing a lot of evolution in terms of technology that had been happening the last years and that are not sci-fi at all, are happening today. We have the blockchain in technology, the fully distributed apps. We are talking about the IPFS to have interplanetary file system. We are talking about the cryptocurrency. We are talking about the fan token. We are talking about NFTs. We are talking about a lot of technologies that are happening on the internet with a lot of entrepreneurs and crazy people that thinks that probably that way of having a centralized identity is not the right way of controlling your identity on the internet, because today all of you have rights on your phone number because law gives to you that right. You control the phone number. But if something happens with your identity in one of those centralized identity providers, you need to talk to them, not to your government. You don't have a right to recover your whatever ID of whatever company that you are having today. And how many of you have an Apple ID, Facebook ID, Google ID, whatever, with a lot of stuff that belongs to you? But it's not yours at all. So there are a lot of crazy people that are thinking that the way that technology should be created in the future should be different, should be a different economy. And I should be able to have control of all digital assets that I created in one world, in one of those ecosystems, and carry along that digital asset with me if I decide to move to another place. So these technologies are happening. And we in Telefonica know that probably this mixture of technologies in which we have wallets to control your identity, to control your token, smart contracts to define what are the rules on the new internet with blockchain, IPFS, and virtual reality, of course, and augmented realities. Everything together will change the ecosystem, and we are going to have new digital unicorns on the internet with new way of behave and interact with the network. We are sure of that. We are not sure which one is going to be success, but for sure, we are sure some of them are going to success. And all of them are created on a different way. and all of them needs different technologies, different infrastructure. And we in Telefonica are sure, as the rest of the telcos, that we need to change our infrastructure. We need to evolve again. We need to move from a voice network to an ISP to a broadband network with fiber to the home to a 3G, 4G, 5G network to something which is going to be different to provide low latency, big bandwidth in internet connection, etc. And we need to do a lot of things internally. We are not sure about every single piece of what is going to be needed, but for sure, we are going to make it. So today we decide that to create this new way of technologies on the internet, we want to be part of it. You can decide what to do when something like this is happening. And today we have a lot of technologies that are around us. So I used to explain what I believe that we need to do with this small comic book. Is from Kino, from Mafalda. How many of you knows Mafalda? Mafalda. I really love this story. It's a comic strip in which Mafalda is asking to her father, Dad, how were things in your time? And father started telling a story about how wonderful was the past when he was in his time. And Mafalda gets angry, and father asks, why are you angry? And she said, because I think that these are your times. So everybody decides when I'm in the past or when I'm living there right now. So we are a successful company, and we want to live this now, and it's happening. Like it or not, it's happening as the past revolutions. So we decide to create internally in our business units, we create an office only to analyze everything around that. We create the Chief Metaverse Officer, which is Yaitha, which is sitting right there, if you want to ask something to her. And the idea is that we are thinking about how should be the role of a telco like Telefonica in this new evolution, how should be the edge, how should be the internet connection, how should be the identity solutions that we provide, how should be security, how should be the Wi-Fi at home, how should be the cryptocurrency opportunities, should be accepting cryptocurrency, should be generating cryptocurrency for the new business model. We don't know yet, but for sure, we are going to be analyzing this very carefully and taking the right decision, because we believe that this movement is unstoppable. And of course, taking the opportunity of being in a company like Telefonica that 10 years ago decided to open the full company to the open ecosystem of entrepreneurs with Waira, we decided to look for more crazy people, thinking that this is unstoppable and that there are a lot of opportunities of creating that technology. Waira, as you probably know, because it's part of this event since the beginning, has been investing in a lot of startups. Right now, we have more than 500 startups in our portfolio. A quite significant part of them are using Web3 technologies, but we believe that we can do more things, so we created a call for startups, for crazy people, a call for entrepreneurs that are thinking about what can be done in this Web3 or Metaverse world that we are having right now, because we are more than willing to join them, to invest on them, and look for the future together. So right now we are looking for opportunities with startups or creators with ideas in connectivity, in cryptocurrency, tokens, virtual reality worlds, blockchain, smart contracts, whatever that is going to be a foundation for this new web. And of course, we are thinking not only from inside the company with the Chief Metaverse Officer, from outside with the call for startups in viral, looking for entrepreneurs with ideas in this world, but also we are working with the partners. Yesterday we announced a partnership with Microsoft. We've been working with Microsoft the last 6 years very, very close, and we are very happy with that cooperation. But we believe that we need to open that cooperation with the rest of the companies. And of course, yesterday probably you could read on the internet that Meta was announcing that it has a lab to create the communications on edge for this new kind of services, and we are happy to be part of this this innovation lab, because we believe that the future is going to be happening with all of the companies that today are ruling the internet. And of course, we are more than happy of evolve with them. So if any of you think that this future is not going to happen, goodbye. For the rest, hello, if you want to work with Telefónica. Thank you very much for your time.